do your best to create a character design for a villain. You guys see the, if any of you have seen the, let me get these monthly themes, the villain. These are the inspiration the inspirations that I wanted you to look at. And these are varied, you know, not all of them are realistic. Some of them are really realistic, some of them are cartoons, some of them are all of this. This guy, Azula. They don't have to be realistic, they just have to be realistic-esque. Alright, these are some amazing villains in movies and television. And I really want you guys, I'm sorry. My sister and I had the biggest crush on him. You don't even know. This guy's pretty cool too. Oh my god, these guys are the shit. So this is not really about realism, it's about discovering a personality and designing a character around them. So it's really fun. I really challenge all of you to design your own villain. If you guys aren't familiar with designing or the just design principle, let me just get this back. I've written something here for you guys that'll sort of help get you started. It's a PDF that I've put together, and I also have the template for you. But I put the PDF together for a reason, and it has a lot of interesting questions in it. It'll help you get started. There's a guide around here on how to get started and how to think about your villain, and the template also, how to set it up. So there's really very little chance to fail. You have so much opportunity to sort of discover your villain. You have to give them, you know, a little blurb that you're going to write, and you give them a quote. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to see what you guys make, but please participate. Challenge yourself. Some of you have amazing, all of you nearly, some of you don't, including myself. But a lot of us have some great imaginations. I want to challenge you. I don't want to see some sort of evil scientist, all right? I want to see a twist on an evil scientist. I want to see something new. I want to see something unique. So try to, it doesn't have to be anything quote-unquote good to have what we expect. It could be the most unexpected villain, as long as there's a villain personality, as long as they're sentient. It can be the most ridiculous looking animal, but it has to be a sentient animal with a purpose. So this is the challenge. I want you guys to try it. I don't want you guys to chicken out. Don't chicken out. Let's see who said yes. So Asma is trying one. He's participating. Vinka's participating. Emmanuel will try. I can't wait to see what you draw, Emmanuel. You've got a great imagination on you. DX Master, it's on the Google community. If you guys don't know what I do or where to find me, please go to the description in the videos when I go live, and then you'll find what I'm looking for there. In the community, the Google community is where I've posted it, and on the website is where you download your resource pack. So on the website here is where you download the resource pack to join. So right here. And when you're done, you post it here. So this is where to download the resource pack. And this is where to post it. Please post it in the theme submission Villain Challenge 2016, please. Alright? Villain Design Challenge. So let's get started on these critiques. Let me just see if anyone has any more questions. Honestly, I don't feel like I'm good enough to design something from scratch. That's the challenge. You gotta start somewhere. You gotta start one day. Why start next time you get commissioned if you don't know the first thing about being commissioned? Why not get commissioned right now? That's the point of this challenge, is to do it in a safe zone, in a sandbox environment, in a classroom environment where you're safe. You're not financially responsible in producing anything. This is just for you and your portfolio. So challenge yourselves. It'll get you started. It'll get you started, okay? Trust me, I'm not here to kill you. You're gonna be fine. I'm here to train you. If you guys, I'm sorry, my voice is completely falling apart. If you guys have a need for more time, let me know and I'll extend it to the 12th or maybe even the 17th. But I want to know that enough of you are doing it so that I don't have to cancel it. I really want you guys to try it. Yeah, it would be very fun. Thank you for giving it a shot, Yuna. You guys are doing yourselves a favor by trying something new. You're going to learn and become acquainted with your vulnerabilities, with your weaknesses, with what you don't know yet. And this is not a class if it does not tell you you know nothing, Jon Snow. An anti-hero. Yeah. They're like the protagonist, but through the villain's eyes. Yeah, like a case study. Exactly. Exactly. I spilled tea all over myself, stupid idiot. Alright, so let's get started. I can't remember. I have to remember not to cut this part out of the YouTube. But let's go into Portrait Studio and look at this model right here. This is usually the model we're all painting, the light source that we're all painting. Now it can vary from being from the, whoopsie, it can vary from being a little stronger and being from the sides. But this is pretty much the angle everyone is trying on their 14-day challenge, yeah? What happens is, the reason why this character of yours looks sickly, which is the instant feeling I got right out of looking at him, one of the biggest reasons is that the lower eyelids are sunken in, as well as the lower eye area. So like when you're sick, you basically you're dehydrated, you're just not a happy person. So a lot of things happen to you that signal your illness. This is why it's good to drink water. This whole area being sunken in has made it feel like this person is kind of anemic or sick, especially because they're bald. Am I really out? Okay, no, I have hand pressure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some highlight right here following this guideline. So a lot of the light sits right under the eyes. When they're sunken in, that's when you have that shadow. But here they're not sunken in. Let's see what happens if we bring down the cheekbones, cheek height, and then cheek size. Yeah, we're getting that sick look right here. So it's kind of really bony. It becomes really, really skeletal, as you can see. And then face fat, cheek fat all the way down. It's getting really, really skeletal. And then chin. Where's the face fat? Still not fully accustomed to the new order of the lip fullness, jaw, labella, head width. So let's try to make her look a little more sickly. But we see these shadows here. And what happens is we don't have that highlight that we usually have when a face is kind of lively and alive. So I'm going to crop this actually from your new version. Let's talk about the old version. The new version just got darker. It didn't really fix these issues. And I'm going to bring that highlight in. The next reason why this face looks sick is because, I'm going to leave the lips last, is because the eyes are half awake. The eyes are sleepy looking. I'm really sorry about my voice. It never seems to just to calm down. It's always breaking because I teach a lot, so I'm always talking. Alright, so what happens is when an eye looks this tired, it adds to the feeling of being sick or half awake or lethargic. So the way to make the face look a little bit more awake is just adding some light under the eye right here to make the eyes look like they're not kind of drooping. And then I'm going to go into liquify and raise this up so that there's less. When an eye is almost closed, we see more of one eyelid. Alright, so I'm trying to lessen the amount of surface area of the eyelid that we're seeing so the eye feels like it's more awake. Alright, so the lips is really the last thing. When lips are really, really dried out, they tend to lose their color. Color comes with pigment, so all I really have to do with the lips is just bring in some shine and some pigmentation. And the lips will start to look a little bit more full and less dry. Okay, I'm trying to give it like the shine distortion. Also, Another reason why this character looks sick is because the dark spots that you have all over the face. So this and this also cause this character to look a little sickly. So now you know, like if you are doing a villain, now you know what to do, because we've talked about villains before in one of the sessions. And we mentioned how a villain's face is usually void of any life. They don't usually, dimples wouldn't show in a neutral face, not much. But they're void of any life because there's a, they're not good. They're devils or whatever they are. So in order to express that antagonize them as the character design artist that you are, you have to bring in all of these units that we just fixed. You have to bring them in to make that character feel more in lack of life. So if we look at the inspiration folders I sent you guys for the villain, all of these guys have a simultaneous kind of, maybe not Azulakshu is supposed to be like a diva, but he looks very sick. He does not look happy. I'm sorry, I don't know why that's so small. He looked very, very sick. He had all those signs, kind of the sunken in eyes and the extra bit on his, under his eyes, those dark spots. There's like extra lots of makeup around his eyes. Also, his hair is creepy as fuck. And then this guy is old, of course, void of life completely, Dr. Giraud. He has another kind of he's more connected to being a villain, not through the looking sickly, though he did look very demorphed and, sick, but this guy, especially, very void of life. Really, really sunken in eyes, sharp cheekbones. Looked like death, and he is Hades, of course. Her as well. Very, you don't give them makeup, you don't make them look pretty. They're supposed to be the bad guy. So that's when you can see this darkness that you had under the eye, very sunken in. Squinted eyes, almost the face of death. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Actress. But this is a deliberate attempt to make her look hideous, because she was the antagonist. Him, it's another personality trait. That's why he's evil. But him as well. Now, he's a robot. He's not living. But you can see a lot of the skeletal traits. So the more skeletal your character looks, if you ever looked at a skull, the more skull-like your character looks, the more of a, sick they'll look. And if you're combining that with a villain, it's even more effective. So either you use it right for the right reasons or not. You don't use it accidentally. These guys especially, they have a very skeletal influence on their face. So when you're designing your villain for next week, remember that this is another way to really apply all of these. If you look at Portrait Studio's model, you see none of these are here. And this is how you maintain beauty. So remember these light spots, these unique, non-skeletal, fleshy, living, life-filled, hydrated light spots that represent life spots, I guess. And this is what you do for your protagonist. And if this is your protagonist, the opposite of them is your antagonist. This is why this character design challenge is so vital, because it's challenging your portrait studies, it's challenging your understanding of a lot of anatomy. So let's take a look at this character before and after. One last reason they're sick is because we've got a really, really thin neck that also represents being really, really, really sick. So being that skinny or scrawny. And then the jawline was a little bit missing, so that kind of anorexic face. There's a lot of other units that are causing this face to feel a little bit more sick. The sparse eyebrows. So I'm going to thicken the eyebrows a little bit more. As we age, we lose our eyebrows, so that's another thing that you could add to your villain, which we see in nearly all of these villains. Very, very thinned out eyebrows. I mean, no eyebrows. No eyebrows. Anywhere where they're using the skull to design the character, no eyebrows, because it's removing the humanity from them. No eyebrows. Do you guys see what's happening here? These are not accidents. These are design tropes. Does everyone get me? Everyone repeat after me what I just said, kind of in the gist of it. Not fully repeat everything I said, but what am I talking about here? What about being sickly or looking sickly? What does that have to do with designing a villain? And I'm sorry I'm integrating villain, but I want to talk about it as much as possible so you guys can join the... Oh, I'm starting to feel sick. So you guys can join the challenge and dress up your portfolios a little bit. I mean, the more you guys make, the more I have to critique, so it's really not good for me if you guys join a lot or everyone joins. But I want you guys to. I want you to challenge yourselves. So I'm giving the face a little bit more fullness, eyebrows I mean. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some shine. So I'm going to go a notch higher into the light spots. Great dark though, great shades, great darks, great highlights. Everything looks great. We just need a little bit more life to it. So those shiny bits, that moisture, that dewy texture to the skin. I'm sorry, one second. Okay. Where is my pen? Okay. I'm getting really sneezy. I think I have a cold, but okay, one sec. It's because I spilled all that tea on, on my shirt's wet. I'm getting all cold. But, all I'm doing here is just bringing that dewiness back. I think I need, a sweater or something. And I'm just gonna make the nose a little shinier. Also, the shadows on either side of the nose, be careful with that. They don't need to be that dark. Your character still looks a little sickly, but they're a lot better now than what we saw earlier. I'm going to bring in some more light in their eyes. How much visibility between the lash line and the crease is just too much. So that's what's causing this face to feel a little sleepy. Which is something I'd love to do right now, but I can't. I'd love to sleepy. Yes, I have a cold. I must be a villain. But can anybody repeat what I said? More skull-like, the more like a villain, or more sickly they look. Show that they have lost life. They lose the softness in the eyebrows. Yeah, but why? Skeletal features and sickly features make characters look less human and thus more evil? No, the personality is what makes them evil. Their actions are what makes them evil, not how they look, but it adds to it. Removing them from life means, you know, they've done so much evil, they've lost all the life. So let's take a look at Voldemort. Where is he? Son of a bitch. Also very skull-like and no eyebrows. I mean, they don't have no use for their eyebrows. They're almost dead. They're deadly. They're dead, right? So their actions are, and their evil nature is highlighted by the fact that we're bringing in very sickly features to them. Or we're giving them very sickly features. So I'm just bringing in a little extra makeup type shades around the eyes. And I'm going to make the skin just a little more dewy where it counts, just along here. Putting the highlights only in the highest areas that reach the light the most. Okay, the face is starting to look a lot more alive, a lot more happy, breathing. Great values though. I want everyone to paint with these values. This background color and these values. They're just great. Okay, I'm going to make the lip a little bit more dewy looking. So let's take a look at the before and after. Sharpen. Okay. Whoa. Before, after. Is it snapping? So, before, very sickly, yeah? After. Can anyone repeat to me what I did? Can anyone just explain the gist of the changes that I made? Is it alright to make a character look inhumanely graceful and tired? I don't understand how inhumanely graceful, I don't know what that means. But I'm going to read it as, is it alright to make a character look tired but not sickly, but still be a villain? Of course. I mean, you looked at it's the personality, really, of the character that makes them, you know, who they are, of course. Their personality. So Azula was a bitch, but she started to look more sickly and more tired as she deteriorated in the, crazy Azula, as she deteriorated in the show. They gave her those sunken in eyes, and that tired looking face, and that messed up hair, and she didn't look very happy. Because she was becoming the true version of herself, which was a personality, even though she was very glamorous early on in the show. So this character was a successful villain because they were multifaceted, and it wasn't just about how beautiful she was. Her humanity kind of just came out at the end. So they still also used it. So nearly all villains have some sort of inhumanity to them. A true villain. I'm talking about this guy, Sugar. I'm talking about Voldemort. I'm talking about Hades. I'm talking about some real villains here. I'm not talking about half villains or original character yaoi villains. I'm talking about some real ass villains here. And that's what I want you guys to design. And if it's a challenge, it's a very big challenge, and not one of those easy little things that people can mess around. It's an experimentation of a personality, experimenting through the personality. And these are the visual units that I just showed you that help you create and push this character to becoming who they are, to manifest them. You made her look younger. No, I didn't. She is still the same age. This is the exact same age. I have done nothing to the size. The way you make a character look younger, I did not make her look younger because I did not extend the distance or shorten the distance between here and here. I did not shorten this distance. I didn't take away laugh lines that were there before. No. All I did was bring in more life. The reason why she looks younger is because when you look sick, you age. If you've ever seen cancer patients late into their chemotherapy, they look like they've aged 20 years, no less. I'm not even talking about exaggeration. They look very old. So when you're sick, you look old. I didn't make her younger by her features. Making someone have not sunken in eyes will get them to look younger. If you remove this darkness here, you'll look younger. It's just a given. It's more life. Less sunken in, more happy. So younger faces are faces that don't have any age signatures and don't have any skull signature. The older you get, the more visible your skull is. Look up Top Dollar from The Crow for a decent example. Top Dollar. Images. Oh, very well done. This actor is crazy. He's very, very evil. I hate his face. But it's very effective. Very skull-like features. You see that it's that massive cheekbones, sunken in cheeks, very thinned out eyebrows and tiny little eyes. A big nose to bring in all of that ogre like face, but very, very skull-like altogether. All the major enemies, you know, the kinds that kill people are the people you want to demonize in your story when you're creating them. If someone comes to you, 61 of you as the artist might work one day as concept artists. You're going to get someone to come up to you and say, hey, design this character, he's a villain. You're going to know what to do. You're going to call upon all of these units that you've studied, or these units that you've learned today, which is to bring in as much of the skull as possible to make the visual design. You leave the personality to the writer, but the visual design is what you're going to have to use these for. And the reason why I'm forcing you guys to write your own story is because you need a story. I'm not going to write it because I want you guys to bring in some variety. Or else you're all just using my story. Okay. So bringing in some more shine under the eyes, making it dewy, happy skin. Nothing dried out and sickly. And let me tell you, I know a thing or two about looking sick, okay? I have been for a very long time, and I've recently fixed this issue, and I feel great, and my face is the opposite of what it used to be. So these are definitely issues that I had. I feel great now, don't worry, but yeah. Trust me, it makes you look younger, it makes you look happier when you've removed all these issues or whatever's causing them. Zahir is the best villain. Zahir. Oh, where is that from? Oh, Zahir. Okay. From Korra. Zahir in Arabic means male blooming flower. Zahir. Not sure about him being demonized. I think he's not so much a... He did kill people. But his kind of villain, it's so weird. Korra villains deteriorated, got less scary. You went from defeating a god to defeating a girl. I mean, it was so stupid. But yeah, anyway. Dolores Umbridge, pink but deadly. Yeah, Will Ferrell face. Which is really small eyes, very looking, very ogre-like face. But I think the reason why Umbridge was so evil is because of the juxtapositioning. She had such a ladylike demeanor, but all this menace and all this malice in her. That's why she was such an amazing villain. But before, after. Remember, these are important. You don't just accidentally draw them. You don't accidentally use them. You have to know what you're doing when you're doing it. So this takes us to this beautiful piece. Where you have all of those units there. You sunk in the eyes. You're trying to show her as the mother of Voldemort. Very, very sad, unfortunate life. But I'm just going to keep pushing these units a little bit more. I think the story said that she used a spell to enslave a man she fell in love with, who had been in love with another woman, to be in love with her. She used a love spell on him, and then he discovered it, or they became sad. I forget how the story went. But a skeleton isn't just a skeleton on the face. It's on the body as well. So you want to, you're kind of the closed canvas made you shorten the shoulders a little bit. So I'm going to just extend the dress outside. Don't be scared of the edges of the canvas. Everyone write that back to me, please. Okay. So I'm just going to make her, you know, kind of hunching her shoulders a little bit, kind of timid and miserable. She was in a way a villain. Didn't she kill someone? Or I don't know who she killed. I'm going to push in her cheekbones just a little, and the eyes, yeah, they're supposed to be crossed or not even, or one of them is supposed to be lazy, but they should still make them the same size. Okay? Are you a Muslim? Why are you asking me this question? Also, crossed eyes are crossed only at the you know, the symmetry. The pupil is in the center, no matter what. So just it's just how the eye develops. It's going to be in the center. That's why you're already dehumanizing her so much. You need some anatomy left over. So you should have to absolutely fix these. I think you are forcing the eye socket down. So what you could do is have like a little bit of a crease to show that the eyeballs have sunken in. The eyeballs. Okay. And then the waterline, when eyes sink down when you get older, the waterline kind of extends a little wider than what you've drawn here. So I'm going to extend that a little bit. That's going to bring in some more. And what's next is what's happened here in the nose. We've kind of lost the nose a little. And what we need to see is this elevation, that the nose is one of the highest planes in the face. All of that stuff still goes. None of it is lost just because you're creating a dead looking character. If you want to age her some more, you can throw in a laugh line or wrinkles, which is also going to bring in some more of that skull-like age. She isn't so much a villain, but a pitiful character. Someone you can pity, someone who looks very unfortunate, or their lineage is unfortunate, lots of inbreeding because of their pride of their family. Or it's a very, very sad story. So I'm just going to keep, you know, there's a lot of shine. Her face is very oily, so I'm just going to keep building up on the nose, making it one of the lightest spots on the face. Because she's very skinny, this spot in between is going to catch a lot of light. The skin's very reflective. A good job overall in bringing the shadows on the upper side. Just make sure they're not that dark that they're as dark as the dark spot. They'll still read as dark spots. They'll still read as dark circles. It just won't be so much that they're darker than a dark spot. Nothing should be darker than a dark spot in this case. So you should lighten everything back up so that dark spots can have their chance. So lighten. And really, you have to just take a look here. I don't bring any of the major dark spots in here and we already have so much form. So there's a lot you can do without the, of course, because it's a model, there's a lot you can do without dark spots. There's no nostril holes really. I mean, if you tilt the eye up and the body up, yeah, you'll have the dark spots and you'll have the dark spots on the other side. But there's no pupil. Because really what Portrait Studio is forcing you to do is learn how to draw a face with minimal contrast, with minimal dependency on blacks and whites and lots of grays. So right now, Emmanuel, you've used a lot of grays, a lot of blacks and not enough grays. So I'm just throwing this everywhere and I'm going to erase it only where I know that we need these dark areas on the face. Yeah, she's supposed to look sick and sickly, but now you're losing form if you're going to flood everything with black. You're going to lose a lot of form. So I'm not watching the chat. I don't know what you guys are saying. I'll probably scroll up later on. So I'm just deleting areas where I know we need some darks per feature. So nostrils definitely need some darks. It looks washed out, but I'll erase what I don't need in a second and leave what I need. So the sockets, we need that dark socket area to make her look skeletal. We need the shadow of the nose to be a little sharp. We need the upper lip to be sharp and the sides of the face. But that's it really. Everything else was too dark as you drew it. We need these areas to stay illuminated. The nose areas, but everything else really doesn't need all of that contrast. A lot of the face was missing. I think what you need to do now is need to really thin out her eyebrows. We just observed how important it is to, you know, for a sickly character or a character that looks pitiful to kind of thin out their eyebrows as much as possible. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to thin out her brows. It's going to dehumanize her even further, which is the extent of her character. Very, very unhuman, magic, kind of mad-driven, magic-driven. Magic-driven. And again, anything that is dome-like, treat it as a sphere. So the very tops of her skull, her cranium, and then anywhere where there's an elevation. And the lower half of her face is a beard. Remember that beard shadow I always talk about. I'm going to bring the sponge tool and desaturate any excessive reds that you have, no blushes, nothing. I'm going to get rid of that. Because the more monotone you keep her, you can have some in the lip area, because lips naturally have the change in pigmentation. But anywhere where there might be blush, you want to get rid of that. Because now you're bringing back life and then you're confusing your viewer, you're creating a double image. Oopsie. One that is between highlights and life and dewiness and dewy skin, and then one that is on a like dewy skin on a skeletal face. That doesn't work. A little bit more light on the skull, right over here. I mean on the sphere. Where the light is hitting, kind of where the water or her tears are welling up. It's really, really sad. Kind of just really captured her character. And the eyelids are really, really shiny, so what's going to happen is that they're going to have a little bit more shine, but now it's looking like a tear because it's paralleling. A couple more highlights on the eyelid. And then a slight line above them for the crease, the decreased drooping crease. Remember, skin droops as you age, and if you're trying to show an aged character, that's what's going to happen. So beautiful choice of character. You have so much courage, Emmanuel. I'm always just, talking about this guy. He's a really, really confident, courageous artist, and I love seeing his work. And I want you guys to try this same kind of courage with your work. I want you to have this kind of courage. And there's no fail in trying. There's no fail. It's not a competition. There's no award. And you're getting yourselves ready for times when there are awards, which is financial award. You can be hired to work as a concept artist. You conceptualize these characters. If they ever made a movie, they could very well hire Emmanuel right now to design her for them. If they ever made a movie about her life. So this is why it's important to challenge yourself with these challenges, with these weekly challenges. I don't do them because, I have time. I mean, I have time, but trust me when I tell you my time is limited and I'm dedicating it to you guys. I really want you guys to participate. So filter, sharpen, unsharp because of the soft brush, and I'm just going to go back. Before, after. So now her skin has subsurface scattering under it. It's behaving like skin. It reflects. Before, you had too much darkness, and that little bit of the eye made her eyes, her eyes are crossed, but they're not realistically crossed right now. We shrunk one of the eyes, one of the little pupils. Yeah, one of them is lazy, but it's still symmetrical. Other things that you could do that cause even further, like to deface her even more, is to create a massive gap between her teeth as if she lost a tooth. That's also going to bring you some of that that last push of skeleton. If you ever looked at a skull, the separation between the teeth is really what happens with the teeth in that area. So if you can separate the teeth from each other a little bit, give her drier lips. It's also another unit of making something look dead or dying. Dead or dying? Everyone write that back to me. When you're painting a villain, remember, dead or dying. You want to take the life out of her lips as well. You want to give them a little bit more paleness. Remember the person we just critiqued before this one, the lips were very, very pale. So that's what we're doing here. And then we need those highlights on the upper lip to make them feel realistic. Dead or dying? Everyone write that back to me. Skull or half skull. Almost there kind of thing. May God help all people who are sick or suffering like this. Kind of just breaks my heart talking about it. Alright, so before, after. Now the nose has that elevation. You see, Emmanuel? When painting a villain, dead or dying. Yes. They might not even be dying, but they just look like it because they're so fucking evil. Villain should have a decayed look. Thank you, Luca. Decay. Decay, yes. Decay. Everyone write that back. Decay, decay. That's what we're talking about. Beautiful word. Beautiful word. Decay. What's happened here, though, Emmanuel, is that you've ended the eye where the lid ends. It just doesn't work like that. You should really just extend this. Just extend it. You've created like I don't know if it's called a tangent, but you've created kind of like a deliberate alignment between the two corners. You really don't need that. You can just extend the tear just a little further down so it doesn't touch any angle or it feels weird like that. And the tear is just long, kind of longer across the face. Okay. Decay, dead. Yes. Good for you guys. And if you guys are interested in what this program is, it's just Portrait Studio. Not just Portrait Studio, the Portrait Studio. And it's the program that we put together, so if none of you have heard of it or haven't bought it yet, it's available on my site, istebrak.com. And its price is going to be going up because we're going to be bringing hand models, lots of different models that you guys can use in your paintings. But if you ever want to study that subtle change between the grays without using black. Do you guys see a black shade anywhere? There's none, because this is what Portrait Studio is all about. It's forcing you to sculpt, forcing you away from line use. And when we put this together, my mission statement was to just constantly push the mantras that I'm always repeating in my classes, which is stay away from line dependency, stay away from lines, always sculpt, always use grays, never use black, never use white, always use midtones, always try to blend where only you need to blend and everything else should remain an edge. Don't forget about cast shadows. All of this is available to you. And you have control over light sources, you have control over the model, you have control over shininess and reflectivity and the skin value. You have control over all the lights. You can move the lights around. Lots of control for you, so you can generate your references as you need to, as you paint. So you never make mistakes like forgetting about the nose bridge as being light, forgetting about the cheekbones as being the highest point in the face. Whether or not they're sickly, the bone area of the skull is still very light. Forgetting about the half face, beard, shadow that I always talk about. And then with this program, you can start memorizing different light source situations as you paint with them. And you start experimenting with how cast shadows happen on a face. It's a studio. It's an open studio where your model, you have control over your model. You can make her pose as you need her to pose. This is kind of my favorite pose right here. Very beautiful, very delicate, showing off the jawline. I love this for practicing. And also the greatest thing about this is the male and female low poly models to study the planes of the face. This is also really, really important. Again, you can control the light source and move it around as you need to. So let me turn this off. And studying the planes of the face this way. So it's available on our site. If you buy it, you're supporting us, and it's always a great thing to keep this class running. It costs a lot of money to buy it, so if today you've benefited a lot from this session, go ahead to our store. There's also my brushes, everyone's asking about. Everyone's always asking about my brushes. They're available in our book set, also available on the site store. So istebrak.com, and you'll get everything you need there. But before, after. So I want to talk to Emmanuel a little bit. Emmanuel, do you have any questions about this critique? Yes. Let me jump on to the next one. And I have trouble with the controls in Portrait Studio. If you are running Windows 10, Windows 10 is really problematic. On the Windows side, they have a lot of issues that they're not dealing with and they're not fixing, which is a graphics issue that's happening with Portrait Studio. We're going to try to stay updated and close to what's happening exactly when people run the lights, which causes a crash. But this is not Portrait Studio. Repeat, this is not Portrait Studio. This is Windows 10. And we're trying to find a way to work around it. We need to run it on a system that has Windows 10 and fix it from that point. But let's stay close to the portrait. So this is someone who made a sweet drawing of their mom, the picture of their mom, and I just wanted to help you out a little bit because your mom is so beautiful and adorable, and you're so cute for drawing her. But I wanted to help you for some of the likeness issues that you have here of her. Okay, so all in all, you're using way too dark values. You need to chill out on the values because what's happening is that you're bringing in a muddy look to the skin tones. And darkness only happens where the dark spots are. Everywhere else should just lay low on the contrast. Contrast only happens in points of interest or areas of high pigmentation. So the corners of the lips, the line of the nostril. See, very tiny little line. Your mom's got the cutest little nose, and it's got just a line on it. Everything else is lighter. Nothing has this contrast where it doesn't need to. The next thing that you did, lips are also really, really dark. You just need them to be where it happens. Everything is very light, very fair skin, so she's a very, very symmetrical face. So what you've done here is you've made the nostrils a little bit asymmetrical. Let me show you how. Then out of the nostrils sprouts the laugh line. So what needs to happen is, you see how it does an inner curve where yours did an outer curve? And also, the eyes that you did are gazing differently. And the lips feel a little flat. It'll kind of just help you fix all of these. Her lower lip sticks out a little bit further than her upper lip. I think this is cute for Mother's Day. You painted a picture of your mother. It's so adorable, so cute. Okay. Just trying to match the Cupid's bow to the septum of the nose. So the lowest point of the nose is where the Cupid's bow matches up to, and then the lower lip just sticks out like that. So now you have the likeness of her lip really, really sharp. And then her cheekbones kind of don't do the thing you did, which is you added a lot of age to her face. I don't think your mom's going to appreciate that. So let me show you how to get rid of it. The laugh lines over here, they can go. She looks very young, probably in her early 30s, late 20s in this picture. So you want to trust me, you want to justify that. Any kind of age, you want to just have a reason to put it in there. Okay. Or else your mom's not going to forgive you. Alright, so I'm just taking away a little extra wrinkles. You might have been aging her just to match her where she is now. But I'm going to run one quick lighten layer, or lighten color mode on the brush. Or lighten brush mode. One more. And I'm going to throw actually on a new layer. That way I can erase it. Save time. Normal. Okay. Just over the skin one more full time. And I'm going to erase away only where I need it. Everywhere else is really, really low contrast. And the reason why you're not getting the read, the reason why you settled for darks and you sort of darken it way past it should have been, way past its point, is because you weren't getting the read that you wanted. The edge of her eyebrows, really, really light. They're starting to get lighter right across where the light hits. See that usual spot I lighten? That area is also getting lightened. All of these areas you're darkening because you're settling for the shadows to render for you. Why not let your edges render for you? Okay, so just continuing this. Moving this down. Now you can make a new layer, lighten again, and see where the highlights sit, only in the highest points. So I'm going to choose the mid-tone you chose and then go lighter on a new layer. And just start very gently introducing the lightest shades, bringing in a three-dimensional touch to the face, copying what we see here. Again, bringing in that dewy look. Only the highest point of the nose. It's starting to look a little bit more like your mom. Before the likeness was a little bit in lack. Okay, just under here now, that's where the shadow is happening, and that's what we need to preserve. She doesn't have much of a Cupid's bow. Very, very delicate features, so that's why when you choose your edges, you have to make sure the edges are what are carrying the realism for you. There's light under her eyes. This is why women are crazy about lightening the lower parts of their eyes when they age, because when you get older, that's what darkens. That's what darkens the quickest. Under her eye. Over here. And then because she's wearing lipstick, her lips are dark, but not as dark as you made them before. Now you can comfortably start to darken the lips and bring in the edges that you like. So over here, connect this edge all the way. Connect this all the way here. Create some sharp edges. And this is how you render. I think your mom's going to love this. You're so cute for making it for her. Is she Persian? She kind of has a Persian face or a Turkish face. She kind of looks Turkish. Or Persian. Has those Persian eyebrows, those signature beautiful Persian eyebrows. Should probably zoom out when I do that. Okay, now as for her eyes, in the photograph, mom's looking up right here at this brush. And down here, over here, your mom's looking down. So you want to keep it so that she's looking up. So put light under the eye, under the pupil. The gaze carries so much realism with it if you do it right. Okay. Come back. back and forth. Trying to keep the brows symmetrical. See where here they kind of just stay symmetrical, so we need to do that as well. I'm just going to do that on Liquify. Okay, so the arches as well should go up. And then just continue with that edge work. Just painting in the lips, and I'll show you the before and after, how dark everything was earlier. It's a bit too dark. And now once you get the grays, and I always talk about this, once you set up your grays, that's when you can start bringing in all that darkness, because then you'll know how much dark you really need. But if you start already so dark, you're going to use too much, most likely. Still looking down a little. There's a lot of space under her eye. So maybe that's why she feels like she's looking down. It's kind of looking up now. Looks Persian to me, not Turkish. I've known a couple Turkish women that look like this. I'm going to add in some more stuff. So the camera couldn't have caught this because I guess it's an old camera. But I'm going to add a little bit of light under for the waterline. It's going to make her look a little bit more lively. And again, you can just keep going, making sure that you're always darkening only where you need to. The darkest points on her face are her eyebrows and her eyes. And that's it. Nothing else should have that much shadow. The edge of her lips just a little bit. I'll show you the before and after. Before, after. Very, very dark earlier. And we lightened everything and back up to a plate. And all you have to do after that is just the edge work. And that's where you can really bring in your lines and darken only where you need to. So the brows are definitely where they need to be darkened. Just gotta stay close to the reference. It's my soft brush. Okay. And then for the nose, simply just carry the edge all the way there. A simple line. And this edge all the way there, this edge all the way there. Just keep edging out, pushing to the edges. And that's how you bring in detail. Okay. Alright, so work light, always work light. Never make crazy contrast just so that you can get that initial read. It's not worth it. What it's going to do is make the skin look very muddy. You don't want muddy skin when you're painting grayscales or painting muddy skin grayscale tones. And edge work isn't about which brush you're using, it's about what you know about edges. Okay. Darkening this a little more. Kind of want to make the lips symmetrical. Carrying the shadow all the way through. And creating some more edges. She's a very full face, so not be very soft with your blending. And these areas here, all of this is too dark for her skin tone. She's very light, so that skin tone is going to raise all the values up. See this area here, way too dark. Everything should be a touch lighter. Okay, so before, after, a lot more form, a lot less contrast. And I'm just going to sharpen, unsharp mask. Feels a lot softer, especially if you're painting like a dedicated portrait. You want to bring in some of that softness. This is even more light. Let's grayscale the reference, actually. The reason I think why you had a bigger issue is because you weren't grayscaling your reference. You can see lots of white, lots of softness everywhere. And if you were planning on bringing in color, you were going to have a really hard time with that color. That wasn't going to be easy at all. The forehead is also very, very lit up. Lots of light on the forehead. Starting to look a lot more realistic now. Okay. Just the edge of the nose. Sorry guys, I'll look at the chat in 1 second. We're building up the cheekbone here. Or the cheek fat. We're building it up. Okay. So if you find yourself still without enough contrast as you need it, you can always just edit the contrast itself, image, adjustment, and raise the contrast just a little bit so that you can get that light, but everything will move evenly now because you'll no longer have that excess of dark where it shouldn't be. Her skin tone just simply didn't have that kind of dark on it. Okay? So before, after. I think you were depending on that. You really didn't need it. It reads as a face. You just have to keep pushing out the edges and keep painting in the edges of the hair. Like the hair, the eyebrow is really stamped in yours. The symmetry was a little bit off. You see how the mouth was pushed to the side. I think another reason why this isn't working is because you haven't really made it as dark as the reference. The reference has a dark background. And that's really what you're going to have to do to get that same kind of contrast that she's getting. You have to make that dark. See how it is compared? You're going to have to darken it as well. Those are my recommendations. I hope they help. Flatten, okay. And that's it for today. I can't really go through any more. For this one, I have to talk about it a little bit. The eye is really, really wide. The distance between the eyes is really wide, and the eyes are too small. So lots of measurement issues that could have been avoided with simple measures. So that and that. Just simple lines save you all this work. They save all this stress, all this extra kind of like issue. The nose is much larger in the photograph. She does have a little bit of a gopher face, so her nose is a little upturned. I can never understand if that smile is intentional or unintentional. So kind of pushing all the anatomy that way, and then I'm just going to jump into liquefy really, really quick. And push this all back. I think your reference is also a little bit difficult for you to catch. You should have measured it and then carried it into your image. I think it's starting to come together. I think her face is round, but it's got a lot of square in it as well. And the distance between the lips that you have here is a little bit long. The distance between the nose and the lips. If we just shorten that, she'll get her beauty back. So a little bit of extra shadow on this side, and all around you have way too much contrast. You need to just bring them in only where they're needed, like that entire separation between the forehead. This over here can be a little lighter on the bottom. Yeah, it's a little dark at the top, her laugh line. She's a bit old. Lighting that. That's all I recommend for now. You should probably make these changes and then come back. They're really massive deviations from the reference. You need to measure a lot more. Use lines to plan out your painting before you start to paint. I'll talk about this next time because it's composition. It's not related to portraiture. Thanks everyone for coming today. Have a great day. Bye bye.